October 1st, 2013. A quiet public library in San Francisco. Soft lighting. Whispered conversations. A young man in a gray hoodie sits in the corner with his laptop, typing calmly. To anyone watching, he looks like a college student catching up on coursework using free public Wi-Fi. But nothing here is what it seems. That young man is Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the largest black market in Darknet history, Silk Road. A marketplace that transformed global drug trade and generated more than $1 billion in revenue. What Ross doesn't know at this moment is that the entire library is filled with undercover FBI agents. Every visitor, every librarian, every person reading a book, they're all part of an operation months in the making. And their mission is brutally simple. Grab his laptop while it's open, before he presses one key, before he shuts the lid and encrypts everything forever. Because if he closes it, the entire investigation evaporates in a second. If you love deep true crime stories, darknet mysteries, undercover operations, and the rise and fall of criminal empires, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's dive in. This is the story Ross Ulbricht wanted the world to read someday. Just not like this. Ross Ulbricht grew up in Austin, Texas. A star student, Eagle Scout, honor roll, the kind of kid teachers admired. He earned a full scholarship to study physics, then moved to Pennsylvania to complete a master's degree in engineering. But somewhere along the way, something inside him shifted. He fell in love with Eastern philosophy, became fascinated by psychedelics, developed strong libertarian beliefs, grew frustrated with lab work, bureaucracy, and the limits of academic life. Ross didn't just want a job. He wanted freedom for himself and for the world. And he believed he could build it. In 2009, Ross moved back to Austin with his girlfriend, Julia. And the ideas swirling in his head finally started taking shape. He began growing psychedelic mushrooms at home, teaching himself programming from YouTube tutorials, dreaming of a digital revolution. And one night, in his personal diary, he wrote the blueprint. Create a website where people can buy anything anonymously, with no traceable evidence. He wasn't a professional developer. He made countless mistakes, rewrote code again and again. But slowly, the pieces came together. In February 2011, when Ross was 26 years old, Silk Road went live in the Tor network. To access it, you needed the Tor browser, a secret .onion address, and the understanding that you were entering a hidden world. At first, Ross sold only his homegrown mushrooms, but he needed traffic. So he went to the Shroomery forum and posted a tiny, innocent-looking message. I found this site called Silk Road. Supposedly, you can buy anything anonymously. Anyone tried it? It was basically spam, but it worked. People clicked. Curious users visited. And then sellers arrived. Silk Road was officially born. Within months, Silk Road became a phenomenon the internet had never seen before. Massive online drug marketplace, anonymous transactions, Bitcoin-based economy, seller ratings like Amazon, postal delivery across the world. People shipped heroin in books, MDMA in DVD cases, weed in stuffed toys. And the system worked flawlessly. Buyers paid in Bitcoin. Funds stayed in escrow. Sellers shipped the product. Once confirmed, they were paid. Silk Road took 8 to 15% commission, bringing in around $25,000 a day for Ross. He believed he was doing something noble, a safer, non-violent alternative to street drug dealing. And so his alter ego was born, Dread Pirate Roberts, named after the character from The Princess Bride, whose identity can be passed from person to person. Ross wanted to create the illusion that Silk Road had multiple administrators. So, if he was caught, he could claim, I created it, but sold it. Someone else is running it now. A clever disguise. For a while, it worked. By early 2013, Silk Road was too big to ignore. It became a target for DEA, a nightmare for the FBI, a problem for Homeland Security, a global symbol of uncontrollable freedom. One of the people working inside Silk Road was Curtis Green, known as Chronic Pain. He joined the forums, educated users about safe drug use, and eventually became a customer support moderator. He was loyal, helpful, trusted, and that's when DEA agent Carl Force set a trap. He arranged for a package containing a kilo of cocaine to be delivered to Curtis. Minutes later, a SWAT team burst through the door. Curtis was arrested, but that was only the beginning of the nightmare. Ross checked in with Curtis. No answer. He waited. Still nothing. At the same time, Silk Road staff discovered that $350,000 in Bitcoin was missing from several accounts. The trail? It pointed to Curtis's administrator account. Ross panicked. He feared Curtis would reveal everything under pressure. He stole the missing Bitcoins. He was now a liability. Ross wrote to someone he believed was a violent enforcer, who was actually Agent Carl Force using a fake identity. Ross said, "I need a problem in Utah handled. Make it clean. No torture." He paid him $80,000 in Bitcoin. Agent Force then staged the murder scene, took photos of Curtis covered in spilled soup to look like blood, sent the proof to Ross. Ross believed it. He thought he had ordered a killing. It was the moment where the Silk Road story crossed the line, from ideology into criminal darkness. Ross didn't fail because of Tor, or Bitcoin, or security. He failed because of human mistakes. He advertised Silk Road on old forums under the username Altoid. He linked that username to rosselbricht@gmail.com. On Stack Overflow, he posted programming questions with the same email. He later changed the username to Frosty, the exact same name as the computer Silk Road's servers communicated with. These tiny breadcrumbs were found not by elite hackers, but by an IRS investigator named Gary Alford. He connected the dots. And for the first time in the entire investigation, law enforcement had a name: Ross Ulbricht. But that wasn't enough for an arrest. They needed Ross, logged in, with his laptop open, with Silk Road active, with no encryption protecting the evidence. So they planned the biggest trap of all. October 1st, 2013, 3:08 p.m., Glen Park Branch Library, San Francisco. Ross sits at a table. He opens his laptop. Silk Road admin panel appears on the screen. Around him, an undercover FBI agent disguised as a homeless woman. An undercover agent pretending to argue with her husband. A fake college student. A fake librarian. Agents positioned behind bookshelves. They wait for the moment Ross looks away. And then it happens. The undercover homeless woman screams, "Hey, F***U." Ross instinctively turns his head. In that split second, an agent sprints in and snatches the open laptop from Ross's hands. Other agents pin him down. On the screen, Ross is logged in as Dread Pirate Roberts. Bitcoin wallets open. Chat logs visible. Server keys active. All files decrypted. They got everything. Silk Road is dead, and Ross Ulbricht's freedom dies with it. The trial begins January 2015. 3 weeks of testimony. Mountains of digital evidence. Ross stands before the judge, not as a mastermind, not as a villain, but as a young man who tried to spark a revolution and lost control of it. He says, "I know you must take away my middle years, but please, leave me my old age. Leave me a little light at the end of the tunnel." But the judge sees drug trafficking on a massive scale, computer hacking, money laundering, criminal conspiracy, murder for hire attempts, even though no one was actually killed because of him. The request alone sealed his fate. On May 29, 2015, Ross was sentenced to life imprisonment, 40 years, no parole, ever. Ironically, 2 key agents in the investigation, DEA agent Carl Force and Secret Service agent Sean Bridges, were later convicted for stealing Bitcoin during the case and obstructing justice. The Silk Road saga was far messier than anyone imagined. The story of Silk Road is complicated. Ross Ulbricht remains one of the most divisive figures in internet history. To some, a visionary. To others, a criminal. To many, both at once. A man who built an empire of freedom and unleashed chaos he could no longer control. But one thing is undeniable. He changed the internet forever. If you want more deep dives into the Darknet, criminal empires, and legendary takedowns, hit the like button, subscribe, and comment what story you want next. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.